no matter how great you think you are, and no matter how talented you are, being a YPO and truly being exposed to what the whole organization has to offer, it reminds you that there's so much more out there at all times, and you can always learn and you can always do better.
Hoje temos um convidado muito especial, Rafi Demirjian, Chairman Global do YPO. Nascido durante a Guerra Civil em Beirute, no Líbano, Rafi assumiu os negócios da família ainda jovem e tornou-se membro do YPO aos 27 anos de idade. Nessa entrevista, Rafi fala sobre como o YPO impactou sua jornada pessoal e profissional, como o YPO funciona em nível global, suas características e cultura de generosidade, respeito, inclusão e confiança. Está começando agora o Ypocast, o podcast do YPO Brasil. O YPO é uma comunidade global de executivos e empreendedores extraordinários com mais de 30 mil membros no mundo. Aqui, toda semana você conhece uma nova história de vida e carreira dos nossos membros. Este episódio é patrocinado por Positivo Tecnologia, FBIS Early Adapters, Cashme, crédito que impulsiona planos, sonhos e você, e Icor, especialista em aceleração digital.
So Rafi, welcome, and we're really, really happy to have you here. It's an honor to have you as one of our interviewers. We've done several podcasts here on Ypocast with members, and it's really a special moment to have you as the global chairman of YPO to be here with us.
It really is an honor for me to be here, and thank you both. I'm really looking forward to having a very robust exchange.
Yes.
Okay, let's start. Tell us about yourself, your story.
So I was born in Beirut, Lebanon during the Civil War. Obviously, as you can imagine, it never was really safe, but there was one incident involving my mother in which she nearly was killed by a militia, which really forced my father to take the executive decision to move us to Paris. That's where I studied in American school, and I was planning to go study in the States, start my university, that is, but life threw us a very big curveball, and my father was appointed Minister of Economy in the first post-war government. It was highly unexpected. He doesn't have a background in politics, so the family moved back to Lebanon. I joined the family business shortly after graduating from the American University of Beirut. And then I was a student leader at the time, and one of my professors there actually took a liking to me, and he invited me to join YPO at the age of 27. And it changed my life. I can get into all the ways, but it really got me to take some very important decisions at very pivotal moments in my life.
And Rafi, I mean, it's, I think you have a special story because you joined so young and so early. I mean, most of us end up joining a little later. So how do you think, YPO contributed to your personal journey, professional journey, and especially the fact that, it's at 28 years old? I mean,
it contributed to all of them, and in a transformational way. And I don't use that term lightly. And I'll start by telling you, in my career, I knew that I was doing very well in the business that my grandfather founded. We were the largest steel distributors in Lebanon, and I could have stayed there, but I felt that I had a different calling actually after attending my first YPO global event. It was Global Leadership Conference in Toronto, and the truth is that we left on very good terms, but that started a different transition for me into the world of steel trading, and I really don't think I would have been able to do it without, first of all, the inspiration that I got from other leaders all over the world, other YPOers, and of course from their guidance, always that idea exchange that we talk about, and the fact that there are so many great mentors out there and people who can share their wisdom with you, and I got that much needed push that I needed at the time to really go there. So that was a massive change for me.
For you, what makes YPO a unique organization?
Well, this one's actually for Yaping, but I'll start with it's actually our culture. We have a culture of openness, of transparency, of authenticity, trust, and are the community standards which Yaping actually worked very hard on. I'm gonna pass this one over to you.
No, I mean, for sure, the culture of YPO has to do with how we as a community come together. And as Rafi, Donnie knows very much, I mean, how we work here in Brazil and everywhere in the world, each of the 450 chapters where YPO is located, we're joined by generosity, right? By respect and by inclusivity and by trust, right? So those are the 4 pillars of our community. And for sure, I think that would be interesting to going back to you, Rafi. What do you think? I mean, your journey to become the global chairman obviously came a lot with working within the organization as a servant leader. And when we talk about the word generosity, it's really in many ways what makes this organization unique, because we all as members volunteer quite a bit to the organization. So tell us a little bit about.
Yes. In the future, I try to interview Yaping.
I
try.
That's a very good idea. I'll be very glad to interview her, and I'll make the questions as hard
Thanks,
as she makes them for me. But let me take a step back. And you mentioned the concept of servant leadership, and this was something that I was told recently it's really not very well understood outside the world of YPO. It's a very simple concept, and it's not unique to YPO. It's really about putting others first. It's about putting the organization first, and this is one of the things that we really learn in this organization. To go back to your question about what makes it unique and extraordinary, it's that these people are coming in. They're giving their time, they're pouring their soul into what they're doing for the organization. It's a member-led organization. We have over 10,000, we call them champions. They're member volunteers who take on leadership roles in this organization. And it's the most amazing thing ever, what comes out of it. Because you're not only impacting other YPOers, their businesses and their families, you're impacting their employees, you're impacting their communities, you're impacting society at large. And these are true givers, in every sense. So leading a group of such leaders with such values, it's the greatest honor possible. I mean, I can't put it any other way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think in this sense, I mean, we're the organization is very special, and we're sitting here at a table where all 3 of us are member volunteers, and it's definitely creates special connections amongst all of us, so going further, like on the culture of the organization, and thinking a little bit about, not just the current members we have, but perhaps members of the future. Like, how do you think YPO will continue to be relevant going forward, thinking about perhaps the CEO of the future, or, how leadership, even after COVID, since, so much has changed, how do you think, how is YPO thinking about staying relevant, being relevant to its members and future members?
Well, there are 2 things. So I'll start with, there are 2 things, intrinsic characteristics of YPO that will always make it relevant. One is the fact that it is member-led. And we have so many thought leaders and so many leaders in different industries. And they're the ones who generate so much of the content. So when you have a leader in a specific industry, they're already ahead of the curve. And they're the ones who are also, that their knowledge, their skills permeate into the organization through the different exchanges that they have. That's one way that it's always going to be there. And at the same time, now you probably know we're working on our own internal think tank. It's called the Learning Advisory Partners, and we're going to be giving also we're focusing on the most important mega trends to the YPOers, and we're providing them with the right resources and content to do that. So that's something very big. If the other thing, though, and this is the second intrinsic characteristic of YPO, is that every leader, especially younger leaders, I certainly needed it then more than I need it now, but I still need it now a lot. You need a rock, right? YPO is that rock to so many leaders all over the place. It gives you stability. It gives you your own sounding board in many cases, and you both can confirm that you have your own personal board of directors through the people who are closest to you in the organization. So that's timeless for me. I cannot see a point where business leaders or any other leader will not need that in their lives.
Interesting. What do you think about areas, the opportunities to learn in YPO?
Well,
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
There's the idea exchange to other members,
Yeah.
for sure. This is what I was referring to earlier, but you wanted to say
Yeah, no.
something.
So just going, I think about learning specifically, thinking about this. You mentioned some like a YPO think tank. I mean, what areas of sort of thinking and thought leadership is YPO involved in? And
Well, it's going to evolve. Always, it's hard to tell what we're going to be talking about a few years from now. But obviously now, future of work, for example, is something that's very important to the organization. Generative AI. Who isn't talking about ChatGPT at the moment? So these are things that are evolving, and we've got not only internal experts, but we're also bringing in university professors, people from think tanks, thought leaders from different organizations, even if they're not YPOers, because although we have a lot of, let's call it brain superpower in the organization, but we also have to collaborate with the outside world. So these are some of the things that we're working on, but the organization is decentralized, and so for example, let's say it's your chapter, the Sao Paulo chapter, can decide to focus on what's most relevant to your members today. But this group will be there to support you, to help you find the right resources and right content to deliver what specifically your members need.
And I mean, I think a little bit to this question, I think the power of networks perhaps is something also that, perhaps our members in Brazil are, we are about 1,050, almost 1,050,
Yes,
right, members
1,050 or 60.
in Brazil, and obviously a lot of our content is in Portuguese, as this podcast is.
This is the best that I can do. I'm trying. This is. I'll throw in a few words at some point.
Yeah. Okay. No, but you can throw Lebanese because we have many Lebanese descendants here as well. So
yes, and as I told you, I was very, very pleased to see the kibbeh at the airport, and it made me feel at home. So yeah.
But so tell us. I mean, I think the audience perhaps would be interested in knowing more about networks on a global level. I mean, we have our networks, the local networks that engage, but I think this is an area of, let's say, exploration, I would say, that perhaps, a lot of our Brazilian members are not aware of, and perhaps you could elaborate a little more.
Yeah, I think that this is what's really interesting about the organization, is that so many members are getting so much value from their chapters alone that they don't really make the effort to explore what lies beyond their chapters. And the truth is that it's a big lost opportunity. You were talking about networks. We now have network forums, and this is one of those things that I'm really excited about, because just think about it. We go back to our generosity, respect, inclusivity, and trust, and of course our values of authenticity and openness and empathy. So imagine if you have not only a forum that's based on geography, but one that's based on interest. It could be on an industry. Can you imagine the kind of idea exchange you can have in there? This is one of the things that actually there's been a massive demand for, so much so that there was a bottleneck in placing members in forum last year, but now we're addressing that. We've made a lot of progress, but I think this is again the future of the organization, and you know what, it's the world is very global now, and I think that for me at least, every single time I interact with different leaders from all over the world, first of all, it's a pleasure. I have friends on every continent, and this is the greatest blessing of them all. But I also learn so much, and it's always humbling. I mean, no matter how great you think you are, and no matter how talented you are, being a YPO and truly being exposed to what the whole organization has to offer, it reminds you that there's so much more out there at all times, and you can always learn and you can always do better. And the biggest challenge is that there really only are 24 hours in a day. This is the biggest challenge. I was fully aware of what one can do and what one can't do in 24 hours, but at every important crossroads in my life, YPO played a pivotal role for me. And I wouldn't be true to myself, and I wouldn't be true to everything the organization has given me if I wasn't all in, if I really wasn't putting in. I'm working sometimes 18 hours a day, and I've taken time off work. I'm not completely off work, but it's 90% of my time is going towards YPO, and we have lots of strategic initiatives. Of course, we're working on the execution, because this is a leadership and learning organization. So executing with excellence is something that I believe should always be a part of it. So this is another aspect. And of course, there's the member facing part, and I really do want to connect with as many members around the world as possible and listen to what challenges they may be facing and see how we can support them. So it really is the biggest problem is that it is a 12-month term and that there are 24 hours in a day. But at the same time, I think if it were any longer, it wouldn't be consistent with the values of YPO.
Yeah, about the servant. Yeah, expectation that everyone should at some point serve. Which is a great experience,
and
right?
that's something that I would encourage everybody to do. If you have not signed up for a champion role yet, do so. Trust me, it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Okay, about you, who are people who have inspired you?
I'm going to start with the world of YPO, and probably I'm going to end it there as well. We spoke about servant leadership earlier, and I was in Mexico a couple of weeks ago attending their national event, and it's there when I really started reflecting on my journey and the people in YPO who really inspired me to think big and to go for this. And one of them was our chairman, Santiago Sanchez. He passed away a few years ago, and he was in very poor physical health, and yet he was all in his role as global chairman of YPO, and what he gave to the organization, it was remarkable on every level. And he was traveling the world. He visited us in Lebanon. I was the regional chair of the Middle East and North Africa at the time. He never once told us what he was going through. He died a couple months later. When I heard the news, I was astounded. I had absolutely no idea. He kept it a secret. He had taken on a responsibility, he had taken on a duty, and he fulfilled it till the very last second. And that, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yes, we have the same guy here. It's Richard Basinski.
Yeah.
It's the same guy.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
But he's well. He's well.
Yes.
Okay, I'm happy to hear it.
When he described the guy, I remember the Richard Basinski.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But Santiago, I met him as well, and he definitely inspired me personally to join this as a champion, especially on a global level, and I think a little bit too. And a book, what are things that are you thinking, or reading, or that have been in your thoughts?
Or podcasts,
Of course, exame. but and I will work on my Portuguese for next time if I get the opportunity. But I say this is always the same answer, because there is one book that's really helped me out a lot in my business life, and that's The Black Swan by Nassim Taleb. I was very fortunate to read it at the beginning of 2008 when the bubble was still growing and growing and growing, and it helped me take the right decisions before everything took a turn for the worse. So it was one of those books I think is brilliantly written. The lessons in there are timeless, and it had great practical value for me as a trader, whether it was a steel trader in the past or now in financial markets. I think these lessons will always apply.
Okay. Rafi, thanks for coming. It's really special for us to receive you.
It's the pleasure is all mine, and I hope to see you again very soon. And obrigado. I hope I got the pronunciation right.
Yes. Good pronunciation.
Thank you very much, and well, hope you will come and visit us once again very soon. And that's that.
It'll be my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Não deixe de escutar os outros episódios do YPOcast, disponível em todas as plataformas de streaming.